Hi, let's talk about number 22 for a moment. We're looking at combinations and we're also looking at compositions, and this is from section 2.5. This is going to make a sweet repeat on your next exam, so please be sure you're feeling very comfortable with it. So for part A, I already got started there. We're just adding these two functions together. And then we need to find the domain. And the domain is the part where a lot of people kind of went wrong. So adding them together is easy enough. Here's our first function, our f function, and here's our g function. And now we need to find the domain. So when we're thinking about domain, remember that for the square root function, our domain is from 0 to infinity. Okay? And for this x plus 3 function, it's just a line, so it's negative infinity to positive infinity. So if we have this function here that we're looking at, I need to make sure that I don't put anything into the square root of x that's going to give me a domain error. So I'm looking at where do these two domains overlap. If I put them on a number line, oh, sorry, it's kind of a number. We got a little bit of a slant on there. So here we go. We have 0. We have negative infinity. We have positive infinity. Okay, so for square root of x, I'm saying from 0 to positive infinity. All of this is in the domain for f of x. And then for g of x, I'm saying, okay, everything is in the domain. I'm going to do it above here. Everything is in the domain. So if we look at the overlap, that's from 0 to infinity. So 0 to infinity. So for most of these, that's going to be our domain, 0 to infinity. Okay, so that's going to be the case for parts A, B, and C. So let's write that over here on the side. So we're going from 0 to infinity for our domain for parts A, B, C. D is a little different because we're dividing now. So if I set up this division, f over g of x is going to be the square root of x divided by x plus 3. Okay, so things we need to make sure of. We need to make sure that this domain here, we want to look at the numerator and make sure we don't get a domain error there. We don't want to divide by 0. Okay, so if we don't want 0, we could say that we want x plus 3 to be not equal to 0. All right, so I can subtract 3 from both sides. I get x is not equal to negative 3. So I want to exclude negative 3. But hey, remember up here, this domain is 0 to infinity. So I already excluded negative 3. So this is actually going to have that same domain that D is 0 to infinity for part D. Okay, last here, part E and F, we're looking at compositions. So f of g of x for part E. So I like to write like this, f of g of x. Okay, so then I take my f function, which is the square root function, and where there was an x, I put the g of x function, so this is x plus 3. Okay, so now I need to think about the domain. All right, so looking under this radical, x plus 3 has to be greater than or equal to 0, because we know that the domain for the square root function is 0 to infinity, so this has to be 0 or bigger. So then I can solve this. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay, and then if I want to write that as an interval, I'm going to say I can go from negative 3 all the way to infinity. So that one's a little bit different because I could have a number like negative 2 and I won't get a domain error because I add 3 to it. Final piece here for f. I'm having f of g of 1. So I already found out that f of g of x was equal to the square root of x plus 3. So f of g of 1 is going to be the square root of 1 plus 3, which is the square root of 4, which is 2. Hooray! Okay, I hope that helps.